I can't tell you how pumped and excited I am to be here today to show you our next thing. And no, listen. This time, it's some next level shit, I'm telling you. I mean, no, what we're gonna show you is gonna be amazing. I know I sound cocky, but it's really hard not to be cocky when you have a game like this. Are you ready? All right.
Well, Josef Fares told no lies at the Game Awards. He and his amazing team at Hazelight Studios truly delivered one of the most incredible video games that I've ever played. I've been playing video games for 30 years now, and some games just stick with you. The first for me was Super Mario 64, a truly transformative game that I played as a child that will always be with me, and the quality of it still holds up to this day. Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, another one that is just burned into my memory. And now, Split Fiction is right up there in the pantheon of video games that I will never forget. So, as you can tell, I absolutely loved this game, so I'm going to gush about it for the next 15 or so minutes and explain in great detail what makes this game so freaking amazing. But first, I need to note a couple of things. This review will contain some spoilers, as I want to have the freedom to talk about all the great features of this game. So if you want to experience every amazing level for yourself, you should probably just click off. The other thing I need to note is I stream this whole game live on my Twitch and YouTube channel, so the footage is just pulled from the stream, which is only 1080. I played Split Fiction on a base PS5 with an OLED LG TV, and I can assure you the game runs fantastically well and the image quality is a lot better than the accompanying gameplay indicates. But trust me, this game looks absolutely stunning. So first, here's a little background on the creators of Split Fiction, Hazelight Studios. They specialize in co-op adventure games. Back in 2018, they released A Way Out, which is a story about two inmates in prison who work together to escape prison and pursue a life of freedom. And then in 2021, they released It Takes Two, which is a story about a husband and wife whose relationship is on the rocks. Their daughter just wants them to be happy and is crying and wishes for things to get better, turning her parents into dolls who then go on an epic adventure, aided by the Book of Love to repair their broken relationship.
I will help you fix your relationship.
The narrative is excellent and the level design is unparalleled, turning different rooms of the house and property into giant backdrops with difficult encounters to overcome. I'll be referencing It Takes Two a bit throughout this video, so I thought it was important to mention. And with practice makes perfect, and Hazelight has refined their craft to deliver the best co-op campaign of the bunch in Split Fiction.
Okay, you better get ready, because I'm about to show you Hazelight's next co-op adventure called Split Fiction. And let me tell you this, get ready for a ride.
This is a story about two unpublished writers trying to get their big break. Zoe, a cheerful, outgoing type with a proclivity for writing fantasy adventure stories. And then you have Mio, a more reserved, standoffish type who is just trying to make some money by writing sci-fi stories. Both girls find themselves at Raider Publishing hoping to get published. But upon arrival, they are forced into a weird experiment where they get hooked up to a machine. And unbeknownst to them, the machine is designed to extract all of their ideas. Mio feels something is suspicious, refuses to do it, and ends up entering Zoe's bubble, which causes a glitch in the system. So the premise of the game is for Zoe and Mio to team up and eliminate the glitches. So the game sees you bouncing between Zoe and Mio's different stories, with Mio's levels being sci-fi themed and Zoe's centered around fantasy. And here's a cool little tidbit, the characters are actually named after game director Josef Fares' daughters. What I love about this narrative premise is it allowed the developers at Hazelight to really flex their creative muscle. In It Takes Two, they did an absolutely phenomenal job of designing levels that felt real and authentic for a home. You had the garage level where you had to fight a toolbox and an old vacuum, the playroom level where you had to, well, let's just say if you know, you know. There was a space level designed around their daughter's space monkey Moon Baboon, a garden level where you had to fix the weeds which had overtaken Cody's garden, a metaphor for how he and May had let their relationship go from something beautiful and turn into something sad and run down because they didn't give it enough time and attention. All this is to say, the people making the game did the absolute best with what they could work with. The levels in that game were extraordinary, but in this one, the overarching narrative, in my eyes, allowed for even greater freedom of expression from the design team. They were able to basically craft any world they want as long as it fit a sci-fi or fantasy theme. And man, did they create some amazing worlds. And within these vast, beautiful worlds, they even had some fun one-off adventures with the side stories. You had the main level, which was basically one of Mio or Zoe's stories, which was typically between 2 and 3 hours long, but then within those levels, you would encounter side stories that took you to entirely new worlds. In one, you are some pigs running around. In another, you're doing snowboarding tricks on a hoverboard that harkens back to my childhood playing SSX Tricky. They even incorporated a trick scoring system into this one. The amount of game systems they packed into this one game is just incredible. I said the same about It Takes Two, how amazing it is that they have so many different mechanics in such a relatively short game. Super Mario Wonder also did this, as did Astro Bot, and it just makes the game always feel fresh and exciting. And on top of this, the mechanics here are super well done. Our total playtime on the game was about 18 hours, and that is including bathroom breaks and stopping to talk to chat sometimes, and doing lots of side quests and watching every cutscene in full. Honestly, love and appreciate games like this, as you can always go back and replay them, and it's easy to do in a weekend. And in those 18 hours, I only had one mechanic that I felt was a little janky, and that was the magnet ball. And it could have just been a skill issue, but I just found it was a tad tricky to always get it right.
Why does it do that rebound bullshit? What the hell?
There were times when it just wouldn't do what I was wanting it to do. But then again, it could have just been the operator. Outside of that, I never encountered a single issue in 18 hours of playtime. The game truly ran flawlessly. But back to the side missions, there was one where you are two teeth running through a candy land. The game gave me huge Fall Guy vibes, which is a game that I adore. And my girlfriend, who I played the entire game with, is actually a dental hygienist, so she absolutely loved this side story. The boss was quite hilarious to her as well, but I won't spoil much more. So one mission had Fall Guys vibes, another had SSX Tricky vibes. There's one part of the game with a reference to Dark Souls, and another with a reference to Assassin's Creed. There's also a stealth type mission where you hide under a box and sneak around. Shout out Metal Gear Solid. And there is a whole level that is based on a pinball machine, which is truly one of the coolest levels I've ever played. It's just so well done. And the paper and pencil level was truly breathtaking. Just such a cool concept, and again, executed perfectly. You could even choose the boss that you wanted to fight, and I wound up restarting the checkpoint just so I could select each boss. The care and craftsmanship that went into each and every level is just truly phenomenal. I could go on and on talking about more and more other video game references and similarities, like getting Metroid vibes from certain parts and Mega Man vibes from others, but I will allow you to experience that for yourself. Suffice to say, the level design in this game is truly industry leading. I saw probably a dozen video game references, and I probably missed some others that I'm just not familiar with. So while my girlfriend, who is a pretty noob gamer, doesn't really get the references, she can still appreciate the level designs and fun game mechanics just the same. And then for someone like me who has been gaming for 30 years, I see them and I just truly appreciate that this is a game made by gamers for gamers. People who just love their craft and want to express their artistic genius to deliver an experience that will be appreciated by rookie and seasoned gamers alike. And speaking of rookie gamers, now seems like a good time to answer the question I got the most on stream. How is this to play with a spouse? I will say, I think this game is a bit harder than It Takes Two if you have someone who's not all that proficient at gaming. My girlfriend definitely struggled at times, mostly with the shooting, as she's never really played shooters. We played a few Mario titles together, It Takes Two, and she recently played and loves Astro Bot. So she is pretty good at the platforming, but when it came to the boss fights or areas where you had to shoot enemies, she definitely struggled a bit. She struggles with adjusting the screen, basically moving your character around to avoid fire while simultaneously aiming and shooting things. So there were certain parts where we struggled for a bit, maybe like 5 to 10 minutes, but she just needed to practice a little bit and get better. With each attempt, we'd make it a little further each time until eventually she learned to do it well enough for us to succeed. But I just remind her that I have 30 years of experience and she has next to none. So it was never enough to cause a real rift between us, especially after the fact. It was just more some frustration at the time in the heat of battle and nothing more. Obviously, if you're playing with a friend or spouse who games a lot, then this will be a non-issue as none of the mechanics are too terribly difficult, but for someone new to gaming, I figured it was worth mentioning. In all honesty, if they are really new, I would start with It Takes Two and then try this one. To me, this game just had a bit more difficult mechanics, especially the shooting ones.
Shoot it!
And another thing I want to give props for while we're on the topic is how consumer friendly this game is. It's only $50 in the US, and if one person buys it, they can actually gift the game to a friend for free. So say you didn't do couch co-op like I did. You have a friend in another city and you want to play together. Then just one of you has to buy it, and you can then play with your friend who gets to play the game for free. Talk about putting the players first. And apparently Hazelight even made a Discord server, so if you don't have any friends interested in the game, then you can find another solo player in that Discord and you guys can team up and play together. Just massive props to the studio for this move. In a world that is increasingly being hamstrung by shitty capitalists who only care about extracting as much value as they can out of their product, it's so refreshing to see a studio who just wants to deliver a really fun gaming experience to as many people as they can. And speaking of greedy assholes, the individual levels have their own narratives, but the overarching theme is of Raider Technologies, who has trapped these writers in the bubbles to extract their ideas. It really hits on the theme of AI being a plague on people's creative work. And as the story progresses, there are some not so subtle jabs about how the head of Raider only cares about his machine and making money.
The only thing that matters is protecting my machine. You got that?
And as I said, it isn't subtle, but I like that, because it isn't subtle in the real world anymore either. These giant monopolies are making so many anti-employee and anti-consumer moves in the name of the almighty dollar, so it's nice to see a game calling it out, not only in their narrative, but then living by those principles and making their game to put the consumer first and not the company's bottom line. So that's the macro level story. And on the micro level, as you progress the campaign through each of Zoe and Mio's stories, the characters develop and grow, and both come to touching conclusions that brought a tear to my eye in both cases. So not only is the gameplay impeccable and the level design extraordinary, but the plot, which is something I usually care very little about in games, is also very good and had me invested the entire way through.
If they fry, they fry.
Hey, what do you think Raider wants all of our ideas
Under
for?
here.
Not sure. And he's
There,
just
that
stealing
bin.
from us. How many more Raider stories have been extracted before we came here today? True. But to what end, though? Whatever it is, I'm sure there's a lot of money involved. Money and power. A tale as old as time.
And the final level is one of the coolest I've ever seen in gaming. I won't give too much away, but through the whole story you are in one person's story or the other, but the final level sees you in both simultaneously. Structurally, the levels are laid out the exact same, but with different visuals and themes, of course. So one person has to do something in their world which affects the other world, and again it all reacts seamlessly. I truly don't even know how they designed something this cool, it just blew me away. And to quote Todd Howard, it just works. The split screen levels somehow just work perfectly, and the mechanics are quick and easy to learn and often get expanded on as the level progresses. I always loved how these games are totally designed around two-player co-op, and how the mechanics always complement each other so well. And this game is no different. The mechanics are easy enough to master, but also extremely unique and fun to play. The puzzles are somewhat challenging, but again, not so challenging that you are ever stuck for more than about 5 minutes. And I think this is the perfect balance. Enough to challenge you, but never enough that you are stumped for a long time and need to look up how to do it on YouTube. To me, they struck a perfect balance here, and a lot of people complain about how game studios will put overtly obvious indicators in games like big yellow lines that basically say, jump here. In this game, they do give indicators, which is good, but they are subtle enough that they aren't just handing you the answer. Honestly, everything about this game is balanced just right in my opinion. I said in the title that this is my game of the year, and for all the reasons that I've listed, I really think it should be. I try and rack my brain to have some complaint about the game, and I just really don't. If I had to nitpick, I would want to be able to put Zoe or Mio on a different side of the screen, as that would allow me to do a second playthrough with the other character while staying on my same side of the couch. But that probably isn't possible due to how the screen gets split in so many levels. When you see it, you'll know what I mean. And for us to get a level like the last level with such an insane degree of polish that works flawlessly while constantly moving your screen and changing scenes, that is a sacrifice I will happily make, simply sitting on the other side of the couch. Outside of that minor nitpick, I truly have no complaints. I'm already looking forward to my next playthrough with my girlfriend where we will swap characters and swap spots on the couch. This is a game I won't soon forget, and I recommend it to everyone. When I first played It Takes Two, I actually then went and bought A Way Out and played it as well. My honest advice to you would be to pick this game up, and if you love it, absolutely go back and play those other games as they are excellent in their own right. Also, Vincent and Leo made a cameo in It Takes Two, and they make another cameo in Split Fiction, as does the Queen Elephant Cutie. Again, if you know, you know. Just subtle callbacks that are a nod to their past work and something that fans appreciate. And if you are none the wiser, then it doesn't really matter. Another thing I found quite funny is yes, I was excited for this game, but I was more excited for Monster Hunter Wilds. And now, after having been able to put a good amount of time into both games, I can confidently say that I enjoyed this one more. That isn't a slight to Monster Hunter, and more of a celebration of just how amazing this game is. I will be doing a Monster Hunter review as well, so look forward to that soon. But back to Split Fiction, I just can't say enough good things about this game. But here's hoping that these 3,000 words sum up my thoughts and have been enough to convince you to give this game a try. If you're still here, then thanks so much for watching to the end. If you liked the video, leave it a like and comment down below what you liked most about the game, or if you're now considering buying it after hearing about how much I enjoyed it. I want to start doing more game reviews as well, as I have a massive backlog, so any constructive feedback would also be welcome. Anyways, that's gonna do it. I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.